Hi there, gorgeous! Hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm testing out some new jelly stuff from Wet n Wild. I came across these when I was in Ulta recently, and they seem to be relatively new. There aren't that many reviews on them. So I'm going to be trying out one of their jelly eyeshadows, their jelly highlighters, and jelly primers. I don't really know much about these products, so I'm looking them up and explaining them to you as we go along, so that we can both get educated at the same time. So the first one is the Mega Jelly Primer. When you open this, have I taken it apart? No, I haven't even opened it myself yet. I read the description of it when I was in the store, so I had an idea of what to expect, but haven't seen it just yet. So it's a clear jelly. It looks empty, but I promise you there's product in there. You can see it if I go like this. There you go. That's the jelly primer in there. It says supermodels swear by this jelly-like formula that dries to a polished powder finish. Takes your skin from lackluster to lustrous in seconds. Not greasy, not oily, soothing. So basically it's almost like skincare in a primer. Cooling formula calms and restores the skin's vitality. And what else? Gives you a hydration boost that helps keep foundation fresh. Infused with glycerin and D-panthenol to moisturize the skin. So it says all you need is a dime-sized amount of the primer for a full face application. But I'm only going to be applying this on one side of my face because I want to see if there's a difference from one side to the next with using the primer. So I'm taking an even smaller amount than the dime size that they are recommending. A little harder than you might expect to get it out of the container. Looks like that. So I'm going to apply it on this side. Ooh, it is very cooling. Has a nice sensation on the skin. It feels like a moisturizer. They didn't say anything about concealing pores, so I don't think you're going to get that kind of finish with this primer. They really didn't say which skin type this was for. It says it's ideal for all skin types. So we'll find out if it is good on my oily skin or not. Next product I'm using is the Jelly Eyeshadow. And this one is really pretty. I picked up the purple shade, of course. And this reminds me a lot of the Butter London cream eyeshadows that came out a while back. Very similar in consistency. Similarly to how I applied the primer, we're going to test this eyeshadow out with an eyeshadow primer and without. So on one eye, I'm going to apply my good old Milani eyeshadow primer. So we'll do that on this eye. And on this eye, we won't do anything because I want to see if this jelly eyeshadow will last all day. I'm gonna tell you that I predict that it won't because most eyeshadows don't go that long on me without an eyeshadow primer. Oily skin problems. But it's good, it's good. If you have oily skin, don't knock it because it keeps you looking young and it's actually a good thing. It's a little bit different consistency compared to the primer that I just showed you. This is more mousse-like in how it feels, where I feel like the primer was more... It's not as soft. This is much softer by comparison. I want to say that the Jelly Face Primer was a little harder. But it's not. It's a little bit of a tighter packed consistency compared to this. And I'm going to... that eye is not really dry yet. I'm going to wait on the primer to set a little bit more here. Apply a little bit with my finger. And we'll see how that goes. Taking a brush, this is the MAC 242, I'm going to fill in the inner corner where it's impossible to reach with your finger there. And I'm also going to, ooh. Well, that was interesting. Started getting a stinging, stinging, burning sensation in my eyes. And now my eye feels like it's on fire. It literally feels hot on my lid. A very noticeable sensation. It has caffeine in it. I don't know if that should be able to be detected on your eyes. I wonder. I'm freaking out a little bit about applying it on this eye over here. Beautiful color though, isn't it? It's a real purple. It's not a pinky purple. It's not, yeah, it's not a burgundy trying to be a purple. This is your straight, beautiful purple shade. Yep, it's happening on this eye now too, where it's noticeably warmer on my eye. It's not as on fire feeling as it was over here initially, but my eye feels noticeably warmer. Well, I feel like it's dried enough on my eyes to where I can add a crease color at this point, so I am using the Wet n Wild VI Purple 10 pan eyeshadow palette, and I think I'm going to go in with a mixture of these two shades. Probably use the deeper purple to deepen the crease, and then use this to blend out the edges. Blend the crease. Almost the exact same color. Then taking that top transition shade and using that along the edges to soften any lines and create a smooth transition to the brow. No warm brown is a transition shade. I know a lot of people have been saying they get real tired of seeing those warm browns used in the crease. So I tried to do something a little different today and keep it more on the cool side. Because of all the blending that I was doing, I went back and added a little bit more of that lid color over the top to make it stand out a little more, and because I blended some of it away. But my goodness, every time you apply that jelly eyeshadow, that burning sensation is evermost present. I just figured out what that jelly primer consistency reminds me of. Jello! That is the exact, if you've ever felt Jello, that's what this stuff feels like. It's crumbly like Jello. It's not as smooth. The foundation I'm using to test this primer out today is one of my favorites, the CoverGirl Clean foundation. By the way, I forgot to tell you an update on that primer. It did dry down completely to feel matte on the skin. It doesn't, I was gonna say, yeah, it doesn't really feel like a powder to me so much as they claimed that it would. I don't know, I can still feel it on the skin, if that makes sense. Now I will tell you, when I had it on my fingers initially and I rubbed my fingers together and I allowed it to dry on my fingers, in that aspect, it felt very smooth and powdery, but it didn't feel that way on the skin, at least not to me. And setting the face with my good old Coty Airspun translucent powder, which I did not dump on the floor this time when I showed it to you. Progress. But I am not going to set the cheek area. I'm only setting the T-zone and under the eyes because I have a highlighter jelly that I want to try next. And that is this one. It's called Blaze and Glaze. And you can see it has a mousse-like consistency, very similar to the eyeshadow and nothing like the face primer. This is a gel to powder highlighter, and it's infused with microfine pearl pigments for a high shine glow and chamomile and cucumber extract to soothe and moisturize the skin. That seems to be a common ingredient between all three of these. It can be used on its own or mixed into foundations, primers, and moisturizers. That's good to know. I'm going to use the e.l.f. concealer brush to apply this, so I'm taking a very small amount on my brush because I am sure this stuff is extremely pigmented. Literally, that's all I have on the brush. So you can see tiny amount I'm beginning with, and I'm going to apply that on the cheeks. Yep, see? I knew it. You can really see those little pearl pigments they described in the description on the website. It's catches the light beautifully. And you saw how much I used. A very small smattering of this product is really all that you need, and I applied way too much right there. Kind of have to work fast with this stuff. You can't let it sit on the skin too long. I'm noticing that. You can see what I'm talking about here. I let this sit a little bit longer than I should have, and it's a little more difficult to blend out. Boy, that's really stunning on the skin. I'm loving it. Despite the little hiccup that I had with the eyeshadow, it is a beautiful color. and I'm really liking the highlighter. Face primer has yet to be seen, but I'm going to come back in 8 hours and I'll show you what everything looks like at the end of the day. It's been 8 hours since I saw you, and let's look at this face. I'm already noticing on the side where I used the face primer is really shiny, and that's not highlighter, built-in highlighter, but it's, yeah, you can see it, especially right in this area, and that's where I focused applying the primer. And if you look on this side right here, that hasn't happened yet on the side with no primer. So despite the claims they made with this being something that's good for all skin types, I don't feel like it's oily skin friendly based on what I'm seeing right here. Anyway, moving on. Eyes. Well, let's see. You know, for not having an eyeshadow primer on this eye, it's pretty amazing how good this eye looks. And I'll close my eyes here so you can see better what I'm talking about. Obviously, the side with the primer, the eyeshadows are much stronger and no creasing whatsoever on either eye. I mean, look at that. This eye looks amazing for having no eyeshadow primer. I'm going to say it again. So very happy with the lasting power of that jelly eyeshadow. The highlighter is still going strong. I mean, gracious. I'm telling you what, the smallest amount of that stuff, and it was super intense. So out of all 3 products I tried here for you, I'm not a fan of the face primer personally because I don't feel like it extended the wear time of the foundation. You can tell that for yourself right there. The eyeshadow, well, you know my struggles with it. It had a very odd burning sensation on initial application that was pretty intense, I have to say. I feel like if you had sensitive eyes, you would really not be liking it for that quality alone. But if you don't have sensitive eyes and you can muster through the initial shock of that, it is something that is worth checking out. I still don't like how it made my eyelids burn, and I have to wonder if maybe it was the color, because certain dyes I know can do that to your eyes, but still, that was a rather odd sensation. I do like that it didn't crease with no primer, and it remained vibrant all day. So I would probably not use the purple again personally. I might try a different color, and if I had the same experience with that burning, then I would stay away from these myself. But at least you know and you are well informed. And the highlighter, I don't need to keep saying that, is pretty awesome. Let me know your thoughts on these jelly products. If you've had the opportunity to try them out, feel free to share your experiences with them below. I'd especially be interested to hear your experiences with that jelly eyeshadow and see if it was just me, or you really have to try products for yourself for that reason, but at least you know. If you're interested in any of these jelly products I mentioned here today, they are available at Ulta, and I will have them listed for you below. That's the only place that I've seen them, and I think that they are exclusive to Ulta stores. So just so you know. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.